on the podcast now. I'm very glad to have Jordi Holden. One of the initiatives for this podcast really was to give a platform to others that were in or have been in a similar situation to myself. Jordi's from Liverpool, as you can tell by the scarves in the background. He supports the red half of the city, but he's a good lad. You're on there. You're doing the same course that I did, aren't you? You're on the media
business
course.
and media.
Business and media, yeah. And I suppose the people are in a better position to talk about themselves and the work that they've done. So, just for the listeners, give them a taste of what you've been doing so far.
Yeah, the course is split 50-50. Business side is obviously more numbers, stats, and that's actually been a bit easier than I thought. The business side, I thought, because I wasn't the best at maths in school, I thought it was like the media side, because that's what I want to do after uni. The media side of it, but I've been better at the business side, to be honest. But especially because we had an exam in that as well. So
yeah, I really like the business side, like, learning about the commercial relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
Same as you, mate.
Ecosystems, shareholders, and
yeah, I found it really interesting. And I was going to say, like, you've had a lot published on different platforms. You've done a lot for the Read Everything network, which I did a fair bit for it. And did you feature in the recent Nike launch for the new home kit? I was going to say, I thought I saw you in that. That was pretty cool. As you can see, I mean, I don't often wear football tops and that for my podcasts, but I got this beauty delivered in the post this morning. So a big thanks to Everton Football Club and the guys at Everton Newsfeed for getting this over to me. But as I say, to feature in the sort of inaugural collaboration between Liverpool and Nike must have been a boss experience, really.
Yeah, it was for it was for Spying Cop, the fan group who do all the flags on the cop. So it was to raise money for them, and Nike paid Spying Cop. So that all went towards the money for new flags on the cop, and to give kits to like underprivileged kids who don't get to go to Anfield very much. So no, it was good to do it. It was good to do it for that reason. It was good to do it, obviously, because of the course I'm doing at uni as well. Mm-hmm. It ties into that. But it was good. And Nike wanted, it was more, Spying Cop wanted to keep it more authentic to what Spying Cop's about.
Yeah.
And the lads who founded it. So it was good though. Nike were a bit, they wanted to keep it in the traditions of the club. Nike, whereas usually like big companies like that tend to like go off the scale with stuff and go away from the traditions of the club really. But Nike were good. They use like local pubs, local kids to do it. And you see them with the first advert that come up, they were very in touch with it. Got a very good reception from especially local Liverpool fans to do with it.
Yeah, it was, and I think that leads us nicely into talk about how we met, which was a pretty cool experience as well. Because obviously I do a lot of work covering the blue side of the city. You do a lot of work covering the red side of the city, and the respective platforms that we work for asked us to collaborate with Premier League Productions during it was the 17-18 season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Anfield derby, wasn't it?
No, 18-19.
Yeah, the Anfield derby.
17-18 was a nightmare for me, mate. I try and forget that as much as I can. But the following season, it was in the December, just to preview the Merseyside derby. We were both asked to go down to Anfield to shoot some things with Premier League Productions. Obviously, Sky Sports, who are the sort of the ones that had used the footage there, and the way it seems to work these days is that they'll have a lot of derby fixtures coinciding on the
Yeah,
one
it was
day.
Derby Day, yeah.
Yeah, for production purposes, really. I suppose it makes for good viewing for those that have got Sky. So we turned up at Anfield one morning, and I was given an Everton top to wear, you were given a Liverpool top to wear, and we were basically given an all-access tour round Anfield. I'm sure that was fantastic for you. It was all right for me, given that
Yeah,
it's Everton's old grounds and all
yeah.
of that. Being called the blue shite every corner of the turn round wasn't as ideal, but
Well, they let you go the away and all.
yeah, they did. To be fair, to do my shots in the on the pitch and on the terraces. But when we were as we were doing it, what I found was dead funny is that they wanted us to do like I've still talked to Jamie every now and again. He's a great guy who works for Premier League Productions, and
Yeah,
one of the shots that they wanted us to do was to I think they were doing it across the board, but the people from London and wherever else they were doing it, that they wanted us to square up to each other.
yeah.
And,
Just
and don't get me wrong, mate. I've squared up to a fair few people in my time, and I've never had an issue with it, because we got on well, and
yeah.
we'd be mates. You know what I mean? It was just funny, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
it was hard to.
No, it was just with the camera there as well. Just both started laughing every single time. So I think they had to sack that one off, didn't they, and just get
Yeah,
us to do stuff in the stands
yeah,
instead.
I know. It. I don't think they used that clip at the end of the day, but in all honesty, mate, right? What's funny about that game is, I think prior to that game, I think it was the December of 2018. Going into that game, right? I think you were obviously in second or first. You might have even been
Yeah,
first, but we were like fifth or
yeah,
sixth, and it was like a real top of the table clash. And
yeah,
it was good football. It was like really good football. I remember watching it in the pub. Close game. We had a couple of chances that we should have scored. I remember Andre Gomez having a diving header.
yeah. City.
Yeah,
Gomez cleared it off the line, didn't he?
always the way, isn't it, with Everton and Anfield? And of course, the absolute clanger. Towards the end of the game, Jordan Pickford sort of turns the ball into his own net, and in all honesty, right, I feel like that was the catalyst for the sort of, I wouldn't even call it a roller coaster, but it's just been a bit of a downward spiral. Obviously, things have taken up a little
Yeah,
bit since Carlo Ancelotti's taken over, because we finally seem like now we've got someone that's got the sort of the attitude and the prestige that
yeah,
someone in the position of Everton manager deserves. But as I was saying, the years since following Everton, it's been
yeah.
a
It
tough
was.
it's been a tough watch.
Yeah, you went into that game in good form, as you said, didn't you? I remember you. I think we played Burnley after that game away, and we beat Burnley. I remember coming out. I think Newcastle. I think you played Newcastle at home, and you do, or you might have got beat
We
after that
drew.
game.
Yeah, we drew.
And I just remember saying like that's done, like, to me dad coming out to Burnley, said that's done everything in that result, because it's a proper negative result for you. And the way you ended that season, did you end that? Was that the season Silva was in charge, wasn't he?
Yeah, we spiraled massively. We
Yeah,
obviously we were up towards the upper end of the table, and we just dropped off massively to sort of lower mid table, upturn towards the end of the season. I think we ended up finishing seventh or eighth. And obviously this season just gone again. It was Liverpool at Anfield, which was the nail in the coffin for Silva.
yeah. That was the league game, wasn't it?
Yeah, the league game, the 5-2, that
Yeah,
got him sacked. What I was going to say, mate, is I'm sure similar to me, you've been raised on stories. Well, for you, most definitely more of the 70s. For me, it'd be the 60s, and for both of us, the 80s, learning about, just how successful both teams were, and just how, I mean, still today, it's got a massive sort of cultural impact on the city, and I don't imagine that to ever be different. But for you, mate, over these last couple of years, you've essentially experienced what our dads have told us it should be like following our football club. So what have your experiences been like over these last couple of years following Liverpool?
No, since Klopp coming in the door, it's just been great. It's just been on, as you say, it's just been on an upward spiral ever since he come in, and especially the European aways that they've attracted a lot more youngsters in the crowd. So obviously give them their own memories, because obviously grew up with me dad. I was just a bit too young for Istanbul, which is probably the biggest night in the last 20 years. But our age just missed out on that. So, and then obviously you got me granddad, my dad telling me all about the 80s, as your dad probably tells you about. My granddad telling me about Shankly in the 70s, Paisley. But yeah, when Klopp come in, because we'd had a few managers where they hadn't really connected with the club. I know Rodgers nearly done the impossible with Suarez, Gerrard and that in 2014, but that didn't happen. But I've never seen a manager connect with a club and a city more than Klopp. With Liverpool, like on and off the pitch, political wise, identity, and the way he plays football, the way he sees football as a game, just there's no better connection in world football than Liverpool and Klopp at the moment.
No, and I don't know if you know this, mate, but when I was younger, so around like 2010 onwards, like for my 11th birthday, I got asked to, I got tickets to go and watch England against Germany down at Wembley. So I did that for my 11th birthday. Germany won the game 2-1, and it was it was pre 2014 when they won the World Cup. So it had a very young Philip Lahm. It didn't have the likes of, Bastian Schweinsteiger or Mario Gomez or any of the, Manuel Neuer or any of the stars. But something about the team really attracted me to German football. And obviously the more I read into it and watched German football, I remember getting a Wolfsburg top with Edin Dzeko on the back, because he was doing so well at Wolfsburg. But everything about German football really sort of captivated me. And one of the teams that I latched onto were Klopp's Dortmund. Like obviously, you think about it, Robert Lewandowski, Mario Götze, Mats Hummels, Neven Subotic, Roman Weidenfeller. Like, it was just an absolutely brilliant team where gegenpressing really caught the attention of the world. So that was the team that I followed closely for a good few years, and I still obviously do keep my eyes on Dortmund. But again, Klopp hit the nail on the head with that sort of social aspect of things and his connection to the club and captivating a real club culture. So when he took his hiatus, and obviously things were in a bit of disarray with Rodgers, obviously after the back end of the title challenge, which come up short. Again, it was just a bit left in limbo, wasn't it? So when Klopp, I just knew that he was going to go to Liverpool, mate. Everything about him sort of indicated that Liverpool would be the club that he'd go in.
We weren't the favourites for him, though, was we?
Who was
United.
it? Man United, yeah.
United, City. They've all missed the trick with that, especially United. United and Arsenal, for me, the two missed the trick with Klopp not getting him in at the time, because they were, at the end of the day, they were a better side than us then in like 2015 when Klopp come in. But I remember the 4-4-2 front cover saying who's Klopp going to next, and said United, City, Chelsea and Arsenal. Liverpool weren't even in the picture. And I remember us actually being linked with Ancelotti at the time when Rodgers left, because we were probably in a similar position to Tottenham now, 5th, 6th, just had a title challenge, but nothing really come of it, and we just fell off a cliff after it. So But that's what Klopp does, though. He doesn't take over a good team. He takes over an average team and makes them a good team, and buys average players and makes them really good players. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't say he buys. I wouldn't say he buys average players. You know, when it comes to Klopp's philosophy, one thing that I would point to, I think he's got a really good eye for potential. Obviously, the transfer committee that you've got, you know, they've had a few misfires over the years, but as you say, everything seems to have been pointing in the right direction and started to be going in harmony once Klopp's been appointed. And with Klopp, I feel like he's got a great eye for seeing footballers that are also great athletes when you see like their athletic potential, if you know what I mean. I mean, you only have to look at the sort of physical development of Mo Salah and Sadio Mane over these last couple of years.
Yeah, not average players, but players who, like, especially our fans, like, I remember when Salah got linked to us, and people, because we tried to buy Salah from Bale, and obviously he went to Chelsea instead of us. And I remember getting linked with Thomas Lemar as well. No, most of our fans, I'd have said at the time, wanted Lemar and not Salah, which is mad because, but at the end of the day, no one's seen Salah scoring 40 goals. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a wide forward, isn't he? Everyone's just seen him as a direct winger. Same with Mane. Mane at Southampton done well, but even Van Dijk, people were unsure about him. 75 million from Southampton. Like, well, why? I remember we beat Southampton 3-0 at Anfield, and he played a few weeks before we signed him, and people were coming up the ground saying that. Don't know why we're getting linked with him. And same with Alisson when we beat Roman in the Champions League. People were just like, why are we buying him? He was crap. He was crap against us. But as you say, you can't. That's why I don't get involved with all the transfer stuff now. Now because you trust Klopp that much to get the right people in. See it all on Twitter now about Thiago. Just stay out of it now. Just. What's the point? To be honest with you, I don't care if we buy anymore because whoever Klopp buys, you trust them.
That worries me, that, mate. You know, like for now, I would say it's the first time in my life that Liverpool have been a really attractive proposition for the top of the pile. You know what I mean? I think this is the first time in my life that Liverpool have arguably been the best team in the world, right? Since coming through at Barcelona, I've absolutely loved watching Thiago. Like, he's just an absolute maestro that he can do with a football. And obviously came over to Bayern Munich with Pep. And again, I think he's only just strengthened his claim to being one of the best midfielders in the world.
Yeah.
And when you see, obviously, that he's linked to Liverpool now, what's the fee is so low, isn't it? The fee.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. But you don't know, do you? Because if Bayern Munich win the Champions League, then it's Klopp's pulling power. Like we haven't had that in a while. Like Van Dijk, even Keita turned down Barcelona for Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? And 10 years ago, we were losing out on players to Tottenham. Like must have lost out about 5 or 6 players to Tottenham, who we both wanted, and Chelsea, Willian. But it's Klopp's pulling power, and people would rather go to Liverpool now than Barcelona, which is crazy. Obviously, some wouldn't like Coutinho, but you know, see how that worked out for him.
I know, that's paid out well on it. But bloody hell, what a mess they're in at the minute, by the way. After that 8-2 against Bayern Munich, which is absolutely crazy. But just
got Koeman, haven't they? Koeman, the new manager.
Has that been officially confirmed?
I think so.
I seen it rumoured this morning, and there was I was thinking it was only like a Barcelona rumour page or fan site or something saying that the Dutch FA would consider it a bit of a disaster if Koeman was appointed. So, I mean, that's news to me. That's interesting.
He's one of the disciples of Cruyff, though, isn't he, Koeman? He was under Cruyff at Barcelona, so probably knows the philosophy in that, which is probably bigger than winning stuff at Barcelona, knowing the philosophy like Guardiola.
Yeah, that's always been the thing to me, and I would probably put Barcelona as my second team in that. Obviously, I've grown up seeing that they abide strictly by graduating players from La Masia and bringing them through, playing obviously I went back down the timeline, and I think it's rooted in Rinus Michels, who's a previous Dutch coach who give Klopp his start, not Klopp, Cruyff his start in the game. That's sort of been bled through the generations, and to see the situation that they're in at the present moment, as you say, they're no longer the top dogs in European football at all, and how they get back to that spot, it's going to be really
it's
interesting.
tough, innit? Because especially when Messi goes, you're never going to replace him, but they literally haven't got anyone. Some of the signings he made, like Coutinho's a prime example. Their marketing strategy just must be on the floor at the moment.
I know.
Who they're signing.
I know. I know quite a few people that cover Barcelona, and let's just say they're not happy at all with how things are run at board level. But to sort of to touch up more about you and what you do, I'm gonna break this question down into two bits. You go to UCFB, the Etihad Campus in Manchester. So, about your university experience, firstly, how have you found university since you joined?
I've loved university, to be honest. I wish we were in a little bit more. It's been 2-3 days a week at times.
Yeah.
Which is obviously good in a way, but obviously you're doing stuff at home as well, aren't you? When you're doing media, a lot of stuff is what you're doing outside the course to put on your CV after it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only so much you can be taught, or so many lectures you can go to when in the world of football and media.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been good. It's obviously got cut short working online.
How have you found that?
It was weird. I wouldn't have liked to do it if I was in third year or second year. But because first year is a bit more laid back, isn't it? And not as on top of you. So we only had we just finished off our assignments at home and done our lectures at home. No, that's it really. And yeah, to be fair to the lecturers, they done it quite well. Like especially the media side of my course, done it quite well. But it was good. But just waking up and putting your laptop on and doing your work. Save getting the train to Manchester, put it that way.
And that brings me to the next part of my question is, you obviously chose to stay in Liverpool, but how have you found Manchester when you're in and about the?
Well, I did look at a flat with a few of my mates, but they live in Fallowfield in Manchester, which is what's that, inner city?
I spent my second year in Fallowfield, mate. I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's where I live as well. In Liverpool, I only live 5 minutes from South Parkway, so getting the train isn't really an issue. And as soon as you get off on Piccadilly, the tram's underneath the train station takes you right outside the Etihad. It takes an hour to commute. Honestly, from leaving ours, I'm at the ground in an hour. Honestly, so it was a no-brainer. It saved a lot of money as well. So, but Manchester, it's crazy. It was just well bigger than I thought. I thought it was like the same size as Liverpool.
It's not at all.
It was like 3 times bigger. 3 times bigger.
No,
much more.
Massive.
Yeah, but I don't know. The night out's good anyway.
Yeah, what clubs have you been going to?
The Deansgate down there. I went. What's it called? Revolution on a Wednesday. They do a night in Revolution. It's a bit like Thursdays in Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Student night, but that was alright. So used to stay with my mates, go around Fallowfield for a bit, and then head into Deansgate. But I literally don't know any. anywhere in Manchester. I'm terrible with geography. I'm terrible with geography in Liverpool in town. So Manchester is 10 times worse for me.
No. I consider Manchester when I joined. Obviously, I stayed in Manchester for the 3 years, and honestly, mate,
Are you happy about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You looking back?
Me first year was really good. Like as you say, the first year is sort of the tip of the mountain, mate. Like the pressure's not on you too much.
Yeah.
You can spend a lot of your time socialising and getting to know the place. I got to know Manchester pretty well within that first year, and it was dead laid back. As I say, that second year, mate, with living in Fallowfield was a bit of an eye opener. So I think you dodged the bullet there with
No, it's been an eye opener just spending a few nights there. Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say I consider it pretty much like London of the North, like how chocker it is, and just the sheer volume of people. You know, when you go to like the Arndale or Market Street, and you walk down,
you live in a bubble in Liverpool, don't you?
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you reckon some of the biggest differences are to you
between Liverpool and Manchester?
Yeah.
Obviously the size of it. I don't know, just because you live in a bubble in Liverpool, I think everyone gets on more. Yeah. Like in Manchester, you step on eggshells, especially with a Scouse accent. That's the first thing my mum said to me. She said, like, if you live here with a Scouse accent, like, you're going to have to watch your back at times, especially in Fallowfield.
Yeah.
Because that is inner city Manchester, isn't it? It's like living in what Weavertree in Liverpool, somewhere like that, Smithdown Road.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's probably the biggest difference, the size, and it's much more multicultural than Liverpool as well, I thought, which that shocked me a bit, because I'd only ever been to Manchester. Before that, I'd only ever been to Manchester to the two grounds for the games. That's it. So, which is a completely different experience, obviously.
I know. Did you go to the aways have you been at the aways in your first year at uni as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that pretty cool. Because it simplifies it a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with me living in Manchester, literally having to go from, wherever I was living at the time in Manchester to the Etihad, which just felt like I was going to uni.
That's it. I'd have been home
school.
most weekends anyway because of the match. So that was another factor in not staying there, because I literally, and once you're home, you stay there for the whole weekend, don't you?
Yeah.
Have to get the train back on the Monday, and I'll be back up on Friday anyway. So.
Yeah, that's something that I had to juggle, like going forth every weekend with the games. I missed out on the odd game, which isn't really like me, and obviously it proper eats. I'm one of those people, mate. It proper eats at me when I don't go a home game. Like, I think what's funny, and I think again this is like a Merseyside thing, is that and I suppose you're better positioned to talk about this because you're obviously a match-going Liverpool fan, yeah. And like, for me, growing up in a family full of Blues and always having a season ticket, like, football has never been a luxury. I think that's part of the reason why I want to work in it, if you get what I mean. It's never seemed to me to be, a lot of people are saying now that it's increasingly sort of moving away from being the working man's sport, but to me, it's always been there for me and something that I've always been able to go to.
It's just a part of your life, isn't it? You plan things around football. You don't plan football around things, do you?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you move other things to go to the match, and you give up on other things to go to the match at the end of the week. And that's what it's all about. But that's what happens when you've been going since a young age. So it just factors in.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for you as a Liverpool fan, like, it's obviously something that Everton fans take aim at a lot. Sometimes I think rightly so. Other times I think because I've educated myself a lot more on it, you change your perception to observing Liverpool as a commercial entity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And as I say, like, since FSG has come in, I think they've seen Liverpool as a hugely underperforming, undervalued commercial brand that could be sort of revolutionised in a sense, which they've obviously done massively in these recent seasons gone by. But how have you observed that? Because there's been obviously certain backlashes that
they've put the foot in the mud a few times. Overall, they've been good owners, and that's shown by how much the club's worth now. So what they bought us in 2010. The best signing they made was Klopp halfway through. It's just he got them the success, and he got them the money, but they have put the foot in it. They trying to trademark the word Liverpool. Like, it's not just a football club; it's a city. Do you know what I mean? And the backlash they got from that was like, because all you have to do is look at our end image. That's when they tried to do it, because to one side you had Tottenham's end, and literally every Tottenham fan had a Tottenham kit from the official club shop. Whereas you look to the right, and it was just all Liverpool fans in like independent t-shirts. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is like, Everton have a few grand old teasers, one in it for Everton. I know one of my cousins gets them off that lad. But yeah, Liverpool. There must be about 100 of them making Liverpool ones now. And obviously, that scarf for the badge, Transalpino, all them. They were the ones who give it to the club and the fan group, Spirit of Shankly, Spine Cop. It was going to affect all of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a risky board decision to make, really, because, as I say, you're playing with culture. Then when you sort of move on to those grounds, you're playing with culture. And I mean, what have you made? Obviously, as I said, you featured in the Nike video. Liverpool always historically. Just off the top of my head, I remember, obviously, when I was younger, they had Reebok. Then they went back to Adidas, who they've always been historically associated with. Now,
we had Adidas, Torres and Gerrard that era.
Yeah.
And then we went to Warrior, which when Suarez come.
Yeah.
Just better saying the players you were there, because you just recognised them in the kits at the time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, now they're with Nike, who, for the first time in their history, after being sort of historically associated with Adidas, I know that it's obviously massive, in it. That's massive for the football club to. I think I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's a hugely sort of lucrative commercial deal. And I know there's been several promises made by Nike over the years that they're going to execute.
It's the biggest in world football at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it went past City and Puma, or City and who were City sponsored by now, Puma.
Puma, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what from yourselves as fans, what are your thoughts, and what are you expecting with the sort of collaboration with Nike over how long is the deal? Do you know?
It's 3 or 4 years, isn't it?
4 years. Okay. So what are you thinking in that space of time?
You can't expect much, can you? There's only so much they can do with it. I think Liverpool as a club has always been associated with Adidas more, but I think that's just football in general. I think football is associated with Adidas more. Where just throughout the years, I think Adidas has more in common. I think Puma World Cups, they still do the best boots, Copa Mundials and all that.
Yeah,
they still do.
I've got myself a pair of them.
They'll always be the best footy boots, like whatever Nike do. But I don't know. You've got to look forward. You've got to look forward to it, obviously, because Nike are the biggest name in the world, aren't they? So it can only mean one thing, and it only mean more money for the club, better revenue, and hopefully that gets spent in the right way, which I'm sure it will with Klopp as manager.
Yeah.
So,
Probably will. I mean, have you signed a Greek left back
Yeah,
recently?
to shift the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other sort of incomings aside from him?
I wouldn't be surprised if we only sign one more player, or I don't know, because it's weird with Klopp, because our business is weird now. Ever since a few years back, the people who everyone's going on about, they hardly really ever sign. Remember Fabinho signing? The day after we got beaten Kiev by Real Madrid, and no one of the Fabinho literally may as well have been playing for United, the way their fans were going on about him signing for them. And then bam, he's in a Liverpool kit playing for Liverpool. That's just how we do our business now. It's well better, honestly. It's been like that since Klopp come in. The no journalists, the James Pearce, Paul Joyce, they are good journalists to have, because they know the score as well with it, and they know the score with the club, so they don't give much away. I think that's down to Klopp though, because I think Klopp just put a stop to it.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that's the right way to operate it. About going for your targets.
Yeah, and a club the size of Liverpool, you want to get linked with everyone, aren't you? And 99% of them have no links at all in reality.
Yeah, and I mean that's. I suppose this leads us on to an interesting discussion that I like to have with people that are sort of ingrained in sports media. That is something that deters me massively about sports journalism. Like, I don't like being referred to as a journalist, especially in the sort of fake news climate that we've been living in over the last several years. And one of the facts that hit me, and one of my lecturers told me this, that really shocked me, is that the BBC, the biggest web page that gets the most traffic out of sport, out of news, out of everything, is their transfer gossip page.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So, as you,
some people like signs more than trophies these days. Honestly, it's crazy.
I know.
It really is. It's
baffling. It's ridiculous. But for you, obviously, again, as I say, you're in a sort of similar boat for me, where you'll be looking for first-time positions and trying to get a foothold in the workplace. What's your take on the journalist aspect of things?
It's getting harder, isn't it? I think, to be a journalist these days than 10, 15, 20 years ago. I think in 10, 15 years, I won't be surprised if all journalist stuff's online. To be honest with you, you look at the Athletic. The Athletic is a boss idea. It's a brilliant idea. Whoever's at that, they've swept up all the best journalists from all the biggest clubs. And some of the stories you read on that, you won't hear that news anywhere else, and you're reading facts on that, at least. Whereas the likes of gossip columns and all that, they're called gossip columns for the reason, because anyone can go on there and write something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyone can be in the know journalist behind the screen, can't he? Especially that, and with social media, that's just going to spread, I think.
I know, because have you read any of the Cult of Amateur paper in any of your assignments that you've done? Well, it basically says that with the invent of social media, anyone with a camera and something to say can put themselves forward as a journalist,
But it can just be like citizen journalism as well.
Exactly.
Like, just have a camera, right place, right time. There you go. That's you in with a place, isn't it?
Exactly. And I mean, I think as a consequence of that, actual journalism, as you were saying, and legitimate roles within the media are all the more harder for the likes of me and you to break into. I mean, I'd like to think, and I'm not just being pessimistic. it's sort of this is like a culmination of my experiences so far. Like I've had some fantastic experiences, you know what I mean? Like I've been to Media City in Salford. I've collaborated with BBC Sport. You know, God bless Paul Fletcher, you know, the co-owner of UCFB. He was absolutely fantastic with me, and he got me to go down to the BBC studios in London to check that environment out. I ended up in a lift with Tyson Fury during that weekend. It was a bit, it was just a bit mad, and I got the opportunity to be in the control room and watch him get interviewed again. It's all sort of very eye-opening when you see when you see the elite of the elite and how it filters down and how it acts. And I suppose that sort of jumps over to football, really, because I mean,
it's making contacts as well, isn't it?
Exactly, massively. And as I was saying, not this summer, last summer just gone, I got the opportunity to work with Man City on the summer school, so the City Football Group, which, again, like for someone that's grown up loving and being ingrained in football, to see Manchester City, who are obviously now, I mean, obviously you've won the league there, the season just gone, but obviously at that time they were defending champions, you know, arguably the best football club in the world. Seeing how they operate on a day-to-day basis.
It's coming away from your loyalties as well, isn't it? Though, because you can't be in the mindset of, oh, I support Liverpool and that's all I want to do is if it's not work for Liverpool or it's not centred around Liverpool FC or talking about Liverpool, you've got to be flexible and you've got to let go of your loyalties a bit to your club, no matter. And you've got like you, Everton fan, you going to Man City. I mean, that's the hardest part of it for me. I think is like doing stuff at other clubs.
I mean, I've always been fascinated by clubs and how they work and how they operate. And whenever I have collaborated with Everton, it's always been special. You know what I mean? Especially when I went to the sort of pre-release launch of this kit the other week, and I'm sure if you would have turned around and said to like 10-year-old me that I'd be going to like exclusive events where I'd be getting to see things and talk to people, I just wouldn't have believed you. But as you were saying, because of my past experiences, I've worked with the likes of, you know, I worked at Bury shortly before they went under, which again is an absolute joke. Something I'm very passionate about is ownership and governance in football. And when you've got examples of mismanagement like Bury, I also worked at Bolton as well, and the sort of trials and tribulations that they went through over the last couple of years. It's just been a disgrace for great football clubs that are really important to their communities. I've got family ties to Accrington Stanley. So as I say, I've really seen pretty much like a full spectrum on how different football clubs with different revenues operate. And I think that is part of the breaking away and being able to act as a professional, you know what I mean? So is that your aspirations, looking in the long run, is to treat the football industry in a professional capacity?
Yeah, it is, to the media side of things more so as well. If it aligns to something to do with Liverpool, then perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like I was done a documentary about March time about Liverpool winning the league, because it was a foregone conclusion really, wasn't it, around March that it was going to happen at some point. But for goal, and Neil Jones, one of the journalists who's in the press box in Anfield every week. So when he asked me to come along, it's crazy how many jobs there are. Like just for that documentary, there's a camera crew, there's a lighting crew, there's obviously the journalist and everything else that goes with it. But the best thing for me was in the press box in Anfield, beat Watford 5-0, I think. the 18-19 season. Tony Barrett got me in there for that game. Just a boss experience. It was just a boss experience, and I sat there and thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. And obviously, being at Anfield and watching Liverpool, that makes it 10 times better. But obviously, you're not going to start at Liverpool, are you?
No.
So,
No. What appeals to you more? Because obviously you've got, when I've worked at clubs, I've worked very closely with press officers and been part of media teams. And then you've got, as we were talking about before, then you've got your journalists who are completely external from the club, but have positive relationships, albeit though they're on the outside and kind of dependent on getting news from these press officers. So which sort of side of the fence appeals to you more?
At the moment, probably the press officers, that side of things. But as I say, the course I'm doing now is business and media. So, and I thought I wouldn't like the business side of it, but I'm much better at it than I thought. So, and that opens a lot more doors, doesn't it? The business side in football. So you never know, do you? Depends.
No, I know. And on that note, I think it's important for you to know that you can, with a sort of decent foundation in business, like I've got my own things going on at the minute that I'm hoping to launch within the next month or so. Like you can, balance it out well. If you obviously get your balance well, you can pursue both things really, I'd say, mate. Like you can sort of chase up a business profession. And one thing that I've found, especially with the likes of podcasting, and working with different media organisations, that they are great mediums for marketing as well. And you'll obviously know yourself with the stuff that you do with Liverpool platforms, that Liverpool as a club will always be in touch with them. For example, sending their own kits and things like that. So there's always a way to balance things out well. And just looking towards the last 15-20 minutes of the podcast, this is something that I like, sort of just sitting back and listening to. And yes, I know, as I say, you're the first Red to come on the podcast since you pretty much won the lot. So I have had to endure a bit of an ear beating that I suppose is going to get worse with this. But what I like asking people within the world of sports is, and what I think makes football in particular what it is this sort of subjective meaning to people. So from your own experiences, firstly, who's the best player that you've ever seen play live?
For Liverpool or against, or just
anyone?
Well, it'd have to be Messi, wouldn't it?
Yeah, are you one of those people? Yeah, because it's for me.
In the new camp.
Yeah.
In the new camp, in the new camp in that away end, when we were 2-0 down and he got that free kick, I sat down on the stairs in the away end and I just said, this is in. It was just complete, like you've seen it a million times with him. It was just complete. But that made the home leg a million times better. He's the best player to ever play football for me.
Yeah.
Better than Ronaldo. But obviously, we didn't see Pelé, Maradona, all them. But he's the best for me, so it's got to be him, Messi.
Okay, because I would say I'm in the same boat as you. Like by default of seeing Messi play live, you've just got to say him, haven't you?
Yeah.
Really. So outside of him, and if you've seen Ronaldo outside of Ronaldo,
yeah, I've seen Ronaldo. Yeah.
Who's the best player that you've seen outside of them two?
Suarez.
Yeah.
Suarez, yeah, definitely. I think a few are running close now at Liverpool. I think Salah's been better for Liverpool. Obviously, Van Dijk's been better. Mane's been better for Liverpool. But in terms of just a footballer, it'd have to be Suarez. Definitely. I've never seen people do. I think he's the third best player in the world. Not at the moment, but say like the last 10 years, I think he's been the third best player in the world behind Messi and Ronaldo. Definitely.
That 13-14 season, mate, what he was capable of was just.
It's one of the best individual seasons ever, along with a few others.
Yeah, I think you've got a solid case for that. You hinted at it earlier, but what's the best game that you've ever seen live?
Best game, probably the Liverpool Barcelona one last year. It was in that, just being at the back of the Kop. No, didn't Salah and Firmino were out. They got Suarez, Messi, Coutinho coming back as well. Being at the back of the Kop with my dad, my granddad, my mates, do you know what I mean? All the, like, it was just surreal, really. You just couldn't believe it. Seriously, it was. And obviously then to go on to win it. Because the games like Dortmund, they get forgotten a bit because we didn't go. If you don't go on to win the trophy, then they get a bit lost in transition a bit. But Barcelona for me at home last year was that's the best game I've ever seen live.
Yeah, I remember being just absolutely like shocked to my core after that, mate. That was absolutely ridiculous. But another sort of personal preference that I like getting, because I think it's interesting, because you get a bit of a scope on what people like seeing when they watch football. But what's the best goal that you've ever seen? You don't, because people often have their picks for this, but they weren't there. So like you can pick one that you were there live for, or one that you just sort of is like a light bulb in your head.
The best goal I've seen live, say with a heavy heart, like probably Bale in Kiev, the overhead kick, just which I think a better goalkeeper on the day actually might have saved it or might have got close to it, but obviously he was never getting close to anything that day, was he? So, but no, that's got to be, to do it on such a big stage as well, just after we'd equalised in a final. That's got to be it, Bale in Kiev. But,
shades of Zidane against Leverkusen, wasn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. It's mad to think the predicament that Bale's in at the minute.
I know.
At Madrid, considering how often he turns up in the big games,
I know, but every Champions League they've won since he's been there. He's won 4 European Cups there. He's played a big part in each one of them. It's like he scored against Atletico twice, didn't he? In the 2 different finals. Obviously scored against us. So it's just crazy, isn't it? But he's just gathering his wages now, settling his family up for the future, isn't he?
Yeah.
He'll still be probably be one of the best players in the Euros for Wales, though, because he's their main man, isn't he?
Wouldn't be surprised by that. And like I don't know if you pay attention to it. I think if you're doing the media course, it's always wise to paying attention to it, especially when you're sort of thinking about player iconography and player market value. You just look at transfer market every now and again to get a good scope on what the market's looking like and player values. How his value has decreased over these last few years is ridiculous. I think he's only worth something like between 15 and 20 million, which I don't think's accurate.
No chance. He's still one of the best players in the world, isn't he? Honestly.
Yeah, when he turns up, I'll look at that now. But I was gonna say we're coming towards the top of an hour now, Jordan. As I say, I'm really glad to be able to give people like yourself the platform to get out there, and obviously this will be seen by a few other people within the industry. So it's been great to have you on. And where can people find you, man? Where can people find your work and what you
do? I don't have any of my own stuff at the moment. Obviously, being in first year of uni, I need to get something like that going for second year, third year, and build it up towards a portfolio once I want to get a job. Been on the Anfield Wrap a few times. Read Liverpool, doing articles for them. Goal done. So I just do dotted about stuff at the moment, nearly.
Yeah. You know, right, I should have probably said this earlier, but that Read Everything network, mate, for better or worse, I've got a real competitive nature. I went into it obviously wanting to be the best that I can be, and there's obviously like a hierarchy for pay. It's obviously if you turn in so many articles, then you'll be rewarded for that.
Yeah.
And once I sort of realised the sheer volume of articles that people turn in a month.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved in it, isn't
I know the sort of earn from it after writing, like 100 odd articles a month. But have you seen the amount of people that reaches? The amount of reads that certain articles
I was
get?
stunned, honestly.
It's mad,
Absolutely stunned by the people who view like my articles. Just like
blows your mind a bit, doesn't it? Because I've done across the board. Obviously, I've done everything. I did a bit covering MMA. I remember when Conor McGregor fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. I did a little sort of preview of that. That got a lot of reads. I did stuff on like Arsenal and Chelsea. It's like up in the 100,000. The people that it
crazy
reaches.
numbers.
So I mean, if you are gonna write to get yourself out there, I'd say
it's
that's
crazy
it.
numbers. Yeah, especially with just people who are just trying to find their feet in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Social media wise, I know it's a bit of a minefield at the minute with people losing their mind from the pandemic and lockdown. But where can people find you on there?
Twitter mostly. See me tweeting about Liverpool most of the time, or Everton at times, as you know. Nah, Twitter. Jordi Holden on Twitter. I don't really use Instagram and Snapchat to build up. You just use that privately, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Twitter is where you can find me.
Yeah, happy days. Jordan, I'm gonna say, mate, like any other time in the future that you want to jump on the podcast and get yourself out there, you're more than welcome, mate. On the condition that you don't give me as much as an ear beating. Oh, Liverpool and their success, all right?
Nice one, Max.
No worries,
Pleasure.
man.